Okay, we're back with Vid vs. Delial for the Kefka finals. This is again a game I have already recorded the video of, but I didn't pay any attention while it was recording because I was busy doing other stuff. I just thought may as well catch it, and now we're gonna add in the audio. I don't know who is on the left and who is on the right. There might be a way to see when it says deranged lunatic versus the thin white duke. I think that means that Vid put up the game and thus he's on the right and Deli's on the left, but we don't know. This is also not scrolled up, so we don't know whose turn it is. So I'm going to skip ahead a little in the video, and we get, yes, indeed, Deli was on the left, Vid was on the right, as we surmised. And Deli starts with a strong corner. He has recaptures in both squares, though a slightly clumsier recapture in 4, as Vid has combo play against it, but Vid has no way to take it in 8 to force that to happen. Much like the last video, when I've already recorded video but no audio, I'm going to sort of focus on why I think the moves are played rather than as extensive evaluation or calculation, make a more like streamlined, maybe more enjoyable video. We'll see. Where you don't have to like follow whatever babble I'm saying, but can just like, conceptual thinking. Vid has a very good capture in 4, but he does not have particularly good play in 8. Based on the prior games, this might mean Vid is strongly considering going in 8 himself, getting rid of the square he does not have play in. But unlike prior games, any move he makes in 8 is not safe to the far corner, and that has generally been his calling card this series. Oh, no, that's not true. Because I noticed that his 8s were covered by 8, 5, 4, 6, but actually the 6 is not covered. 3, 6, 8, 4, and 8 does not seem as big a move, as big like numbers facing out as the moves Vid has liked in next 2 moves, but it is the closest move to the type of thing he's been doing in prior games. Vid actually has 2 cards that capture really well in 4. So if he could play a 9, that would be my top priority. But he doesn't have a setup in 9. You could look for a setup in 5, and in fact, we can do that. With a 5 facing down, he sets up 7-4, 7-4. That would be one way to say I have both sides of this, but his cards seem really clunky for the rest of the game in that position. So I think what we might see is a farther away move, because Vid has some left issues here. His hand is not coming together to the left, and if Deli blocks 4, Vid might be able to grab safety in 1. He might be able to grab safety and take something going in 1. Maybe it's not the end of the world if Deli plays out from his starter. Let's see what Vid does. Yeah, he does go far away. And I completely missed that this was safe. It is not safe. So I did not completely miss that, but what I just said was moronic. So 7581 is coverage of this, but Vid is a capture back, and what he's essentially done is said, you have played. Also, 7285 had a capture in 4, but it was a comboable back capture. He has another capture that is cleaner. Multiple other captures that are cleaner. Literally every card in his hand captures in 4, and they are all cleaner than 7285. So this is not a cost to come out of his hand. He is saying, this creates as much challenge to your hand as your move did to mine. It is safe to one side. If you capture from the other side, I have captures back. This is usually the sign that an opposite corner is like sufficient. If your card creates at least as much challenge to them as their card created to you, you're probably doing okay. First turn has a little more room to shape the game, so to be ahead, maybe you need your card to challenge more than they challenged. But this can make it like a very useful response type to, say, a weak corner, because their corner doesn't challenge you at all, and your corner can challenge them quite a bit. I think generally speaking, the evaluation should be whose corner challenges the other more, and then like a slight boost to whoever's on first turn. Here, looks pretty level to me. Vid has such comfortable captures from 4, but no play in 8. Deli has a better capture, has a comfortable capture in 6, but no play in 2. My guess is pretty balanced. How should Deli continue from here? One natural thing is to build out from his starter, go in 4. But, maybe he wants to hold on to 8546, but 8546 and 4 seems like it should definitely be a candidate move. One thing it does is it gives up the little left power he has. So it means he doesn't cover things like 3, 6, 8, 4, and 1 that he might want covered, but Vid can always play with an 8 to the right and 1. There's not particular reason he'd use 3, 6, 8, 4. 4 seems like a plausible idea. Let's see what he does. Obviously, there's many squares you could go in here. Okay, curious move. He goes next to Vid's card. Hmm. So I do want to say there were some setups in 5. I wonder if Deli could have gone in 4, and if they go 1, then you go in 5 with some setups. There might have been some way to attack there, but I'm not sure. Um, and I'm trying to make 6 work. Okay, don't get distracted by calculating variations. We're describing the move that happened. Deli says, much like Vid said in the prior game, I don't have this side of your card. I'm just going to get rid of it, and we're going to go forward from there. Furthermore, if I go in 4, you can play safely in 1. But if I go in 2, I have 1 under control. So what I think very likely happened is he was looking at one line and noticing they can build out safely from it, and then he switched to another. I think this is I think I'm not sure about this move. I am skeptical of this move. It just seems positionally weird to me. But there's an interesting thing I don't think I check enough for in games, despite, being very predisposed to looking for safety, which is if someone plays a corner and is looking to build out from that corner, right? It is safe in one direction, and so they're looking to block the other direction. In this case, they played a card in 7, and they're looking to block 4. If you have safety in 1, it is perhaps not that big a concession to allow them to do so. Yes, they'll get maybe 2 safe cards, maybe 2, maybe just the 1 in 7, but you get a safe card in response. Often it's just 1 safe card for 1 safe card, and you're doing okay there. If, however, they have safety in you do not have safety in 1, you have to be much more concerned with blocking what they're doing, right? It is at much greater cost because you don't get compensation for it. And similarly, if we look at Vid's card in 3, Vid's card in 3 was safe to 2, which means he is looking to build out in 6. One thing from Deli's perspective is, do I have safety in 9? And if you have safety in 9, you do not have to worry near as much about the building out strategy. Here, Deli did not have safety in 9. But this means maybe Vid should be just looking to block 6 now. I'd also look at 4. If you have a setup for 5 and 4, that's very appealing, but I'm not immediately seeing it. So I would expect Vid to play in 6. Vid does block 6. Okay. Deli doesn't have safety in 1. He doesn't have safety in 9. So it's a slightly clumsy situation, I think. I mean, I could be evaluating this totally wrong. It could be all the specific lines work out in his favor. But I think he might have to find something in a more creative square. Probably not the Q. He has really bad sweepers, but like 4 or 8. Or he just has some card in 1 or 9 that it doesn't matter if they can capture because you get 5 after. We'll see what he does. My refrain for today is we'll see what he does. Very, very thoughtful, deep refrain. He takes a lot of time here. I think that makes sense. And he goes 4. And he's saying 8-5-4-6 or 7-4-7-5. Much more likely 7-4-7-5 with the big same. Has 5 and has 1. And Vid can't fail to capture 4. So if we look at something like the obvious 7-4-7-4 and 1, Vid has to capture everything. He goes up 8-2. But if Deli plays 7-4-7-5 and 5, he flips back everything, and 8-5-4-6 actually sweeps. And if Vid puts either of the other cards in 1, he gets killed by combos because those cards accidentally flip 4. So this was one of those, I thought structurally Vid was doing well, but the combos do all seem to be going Deli's way. Which means Vid either has to go in one of the far away squares, but that seems bad, because if Vid goes in 8 or 9, Deli is very likely going to go in the other of 8 or 9, and he has 7-4-7-5 dominating in 1 or 5. That doesn't mean there isn't a tie there, because while going in 4, you kind of have to flip stuff you don't want to. If Vid goes in 5 after that, he doesn't have to flip 4. He might not be susceptible to combos, but he also doesn't really have a way to go in 5 that can flip 8. Oh, maybe he does. So maybe there's some idea, like, I'm not sure this works, this is just an idea. 7-8-5-2 and 9, or 7-4-7-4 and 9, with the idea that if 8-5-4-6 goes in 8, then 7-8-4-1 flips that and combos through. And so maybe you have some play there. There's also the idea of just blocking 5, but you do need to block 5 in a way where you can snag enough cards and don't get killed by 8-5-4-6 at the end. And that's a little difficult to do. But maybe 7-8-5-2 is sufficient, because you set up 7-4-7-4 and 8, and then you'll be up 6-4, and 8-5-4-6 only kills one thing. So maybe you can block 5, maybe you can make a move in 8 or 9. I don't think you can go in 1. Let's return to my new catchphrase. Let's see what he did. Okay, he does block 5, and he does do it with 7-8-5-2. Delial takes 1, and now Vid is going to get to go in 8 and get a tie. This ended up being quite a deal more pressure on Vid than I expected looking at the opening cards. Maybe my evaluation there was really wrong, or maybe the move in 2 was higher pressure than I thought. I'm not sure. I guess we'll never know unless someone asks me to solver it later. I am gonna run the I've run the solver over a few games, and I'm gonna run the solver over every game in the series, because I want to make fun charts. But yeah. Ask me if you want me to solver this one, because I have not done so. And we're gonna, yeah, end the game. All right, cool. So that was game number something or other, and in the next video, we'll get game number something or other +1.